Okay, this is why we're here. Let me first apologize. I don't use makeup and I don't have a fluffer, and I'm recording these videos. There is a little bit of professional lighting, or semi-professional lighting, I should say. And I'm from Treasure Island, Florida, which is a barrier island off the coast of St. Petersburg, Florida, which is very humid in July. And I sweat easy, so I apologize for that. So exciting. I've had, if you watch the previous video of the history of the company, you know I've been in this industry since the mid to late 80s, and I've seen so many changes. And all of our products to date has come as technology's changed, AI, artificial intelligence, and its increasing power. Give you an example. If any of you guys use Amazon, and you call customer service at Amazon, a lot of times when we call customer service, we're not happy. A lot of times when we call customer service, we get offshore people whose English is not as desirable as we'd like it to be. And we get a little angry, frustrated. They have AI now that can sense the frustration, and then the prompts and the customer service people are working with you in the narrative. I don't want to call it teleprompter, but the equivalent thereof is phraseology to match the intonations in your voice. That's how sophisticated it's getting, folks. Okay, so having developed the first solution, we launched on October 13th, 2014, my mom's birthday, who unfortunately died in December of 2013. AI has changed, but we're still battling the industry, the dispute and resolution industry. In the previous video, I talked a lot about how the ADR, alternative dispute resolution industry, mediation and arbitration primarily, has been sucked into the vortex of the legal industry and changed. And it's not as pure as we would like it. In the next video, which will be the final one tonight, I'm going to kind of talk about some future state of where we're going. But this video, I want to talk about what's real and what's now and what's happening in 2022 and in and within avoidcourt.com, which is what we're here to celebrate today, the launch of the corporation, a C corporation in Delaware, and very soon the actual product. It'll be here in July, and everybody will get a chance to see it. Don't be too harsh on it. As software developers, version 1 is never. Now that we do what's called iterative software development in the cloud. Remember, you used to buy Microsoft Windows. You had Windows 1, 2, 3. Windows didn't even get accepted by consumers and widespread until version 3. That's when it kind of went, across the board in society. And then every year, you'd wait every 2 to 3 years and get a new version. I think today we're still on like Windows 11. I apologize to Microsoft if I got that one wrong. But today in software development in the cloud, you can literally update every night. Okay, there's one instance of the software versus Word or Office or whatever was installed in every PC, every laptop in a version and updated at the local level. Today we update once in one instance. So it's really made software development a real iterative and real-time process. Okay, so while there's about 25 years of consideration in avoidcourt.com, when we do launch, don't judge us too harshly. We're also waiting for our patent pending, and that's why I'll be a little bit vague in the descriptions tonight, because until we are protected by the patent and it's pending, I can only talk hypothetically about some of the features at a high level. I can't give away the secret sauce. But what we're trying to do, folks, is not replace the court. And again, we're cognitive resolution solutions. We have Settle Now, best solution in my mind. And again, I challenged my competitors in the previous video. Tell me that theirs is better for mediators, arbitrators, in the ADR and legal industry in the courts. I'll be glad to have that debate. And we can post it right here on TDR TV. I'll challenge any of my competitors to have a debate on TDR TV. Again, TDR TV is not to promote cognitive or any of the individual products. Although the announcement tonight will be hosted there, I'll be glad to host the announcement of anyone else's product that complies with a TDR methodology document. Again, my email is dpuckett, D-P-U-C-K-E-T-T, at avoid, the word avoid, avoid-court.com. And I'll send you the document. If you comply with all or most of the tenets of the methodology, we can announce your products on this channel. I'd like to see this channel match the methodology, a public domain forum for the future of AI-driven dispute resolution. That's what TEDR TV is for. Okay, back to the announcement about our product. Again, Settle Now, Zip Settle, Our Family Settle, Our Home Settle, HR Settle, all live. Well, Settle Now is not. We've sold the brand Settle Now, and I apologize for any confusion around that. Settle Now is now known as the toolkit, component toolkit for the ADR and legal industry. And we will be able to take that, customize it, brand it your way for any court, any ADR, let's say a big mediation group wants to use it. Let's say a state agency that's not necessarily the court. It would probably be the best solution if there's going to be humans, mediators and arbitrators used. The other products lean heavily on AI, and avoidcourt.com is heavy on AI, but I want to make very clear this evening in the announcement. When I was at Nova University doing my master's in conflict resolution, which is next to the Department of Psychology at Nova Southeastern in Davie, Florida, one of the required courses was called Human Elements. And Human Elements is exactly that. What type humans, or do you need humans? Some of my competitors went completely humanless. I mentioned in the previous video, eBay is resolving 60 million disputes, about 95% without any humans. Cyber Settle, we gave some consideration to, for lack of a better word, sort of a merger with their technology and our technology in 2018. And they made it clear that they didn't want to include the conceptual in the future mediators or arbitrators. They wanted the technology to do it, and they do a great job at it. Phenomenal company, changed, I've got a lot of admiration towards Cyber Settle. I have an extreme amount of admiration, past and present, for one of our competitors, and I don't mind mentioning our competitors because I think they do it better than anybody. Smart Settle in Canada, Dr. Uri Thiessen. I think Dr. Thiessen is sort of the Bill Gates of our industry, and I have a deep admiration for him. Okay? The human element. Let me give you a real life example. Most of you will have, or will, or probably every year do, use TurboTax and H&RBlock.com. Probably the two most predominant where Americans use to process their taxes. There's a lot that goes into taxes, and this has made a lot of people be able to do their taxes pretty easily, where it's probably hurt the CPA industry, it's probably hurt the tax attorney industry, but the software does not give you tax advice. So I'll give you a simple example. They have a help. You click, the box drops down. No disrespect, a lot of customer service is in India, whether it's a voice type interaction or whether it's a textual type interaction. So let's imagine it's a text-based interaction. Let's imagine you live in a 1,000 square foot condo, and 25% of the total square foot is your office, and that's where you work from. A lot of, especially post-COVID, it's where it's our new home or our new office. Oh, by the way, my cup. Oh no, the wrong cup. I thought it was my cup with Zip Settle, but you want to know, can you write off 25% of your mortgage, 25% of your utilities, 25% of your phone, because of the square footage? Well, that's tax advice. That little help box in that system cannot give tax advice. Well, in the legal industry, and we're not a legal services company, let me make that clear. When we say avoidcourt.com, we're not giving legal advice. We're not a law firm. We do have attorneys that work for us, but we do not give legal advice. Okay, and neither does TurboTax or H&R Block give tax advice. So if the question is, can I write it off? They'll say contact the IRS or contact a CPA, specializes in tax issues, to contact a tax attorney. Okay, same thing we would say. We can't give you advice, but there's human element. In avoidcourt.com, we're not trying to go, don't go to court. We're not necessarily saying don't use a lawyer. I may make some of, and I have my ex-wife, the mother of my 2 children, went to law school here in Florida. During that process, I made many, many friends that are still lifelong friends that are lawyers. I've interacted in the operation of business with some of the top firms in the state of Florida and beyond. Immense respect for those professionals and what they do. And it can't be replaced by technology. We're back to human element considerations. However, in simple disputes, or even a lot, if not the majority of disputes, could be handled by this technology and AI. And so back to the TurboTax H&R Block, what can the help do? And then translate that or transition that consideration over to avoidcourt.com. The AI can help negotiate. And again, I got to be vague because of the patent and how we do it, the secret sauce piece of it. Trust me, it's very unique. That's why we decided to patent this time. But it's all based on TDR, the methodology. And we continue to update the TDR methodology. But what I want to leave you with is, what if you need further assistance? What if you need that tax advice? Why couldn't TurboTax or H&R Block say, click here for a tax professional at a discounted rate? That's what we anticipate in the next generation of avoidcourt.com. When I say next generation, in 2022. But what that's going to cause, or I don't say cause, I like create the opportunity for. Remember in the previous video I said that Dr. Becker advised me in 2012, before we architected Settle Now, or even we're starting to conceptualize it. He says, my advice is to build a system that'll bring the attorneys, the ADR professionals, and the courts in. We built it, they did not come. I failed to mention in the previous that COVID, the pandemic, which is one of the worst things that's happened, I'm 59 years old, in our lifetime, has actually, in a weird way, been a blessing for the dispute resolution industry. The attorneys, in general, don't use technology heavily and haven't traditionally. I always joke, I've been in the technology legal industry for most of my professional career, and I remember arguments with law firms 30 years ago. It's word perfect. We're not using that stuff from Microsoft. Word. It's word perfect. The legal industry's made many technical miscalculations. They're not in law school during the 3 years they're there. They don't have, there's maybe some modern law schools today, and the curriculum are a little bit different. But the old school law firms, and even 5 years ago, very familiar with the curriculum in most law schools, do not teach technology. I didn't really teach business operations. I remember when my ex-wife went to school, law school, in his 3rd year, I think it was like law office management. You got a 1-semester course on how you set up, rent an office, get a letterhead, get some office furniture, that kind of stuff. But not business or technology in a serious way. So a lot of lawyers that we practice, and we see them in the strip malls and we see them in the high rises, don't leverage technology very well. The court system, do you remember in the state of Florida in the pandemic, we couldn't print unemployment checks. It overburdened the system. The system was written in COBOL. That may not mean anything to a non-technology person, but it's a language that IBM, Global Service, IBM kind of brought and built solutions, probably built the original solution for the unemployment office on mainframe or mini computers, not the internet. And it overwhelmed it, and it made it, but they had to bring retirement people out of IBM to fix it. Most of these court systems that we interact with are much the same as the unemployment system. So when you bring this modern technology, like Avoid Court or any of our competitors, the challenge isn't the software. the solutions that we and our competitors bring to market. It's the integration to the court. Since most cases require you to file a lawsuit, so let's say I file a divorce, my name, my wife's name, address, emails, the discovery, the original complaint, that's in the system in the court. And then the ODR system needs it. And then the ODR system works its magic, and maybe it comes up with a settlement, and then it has to push it back into the court system. And then the court has to file the settlement and acknowledge to the judge this case is settled and get the approval. And there lies the biggest challenge, just like the unemployment system. I try to be not technical, but I'm introducing technology concepts and showing practical problems. But to date, and we've been called for various RFPs, requests for proposals, and I apologize, folks, and I'm not being at all pompous. When I see these proposals, I go, who wrote these things? Okay. Now I'm going to use one that's been floating in the media for the state of Florida. There's a technology committee originally named the Colby Committee. We're one of the 3 vendors who's pursued that opportunity along with 2 of our competitors. And they want to build a system to process cases up to approximately $1,000. I laugh at that. It isn't the dollar threshold of the conflict that affects the ODR system at all. It's just who's asking for the software. In this case, it's the bar-driven committee, and who would the bar be most interested in protecting? The attorneys. And if you said 50,000 versus 1,000, there would be anarchy because it would take a lot of business out of the legal system. But folks, it's about time that the technology industry changes the legal industry. And that's what avoid courts to do, not replace the courts. The courts doesn't need to be burdened with these cases. Let me give you another real life example. 5 or 6 years ago, we had a lobbyist. I won't even identify his name, but he was in Tallahassee. Guy I've known for a number of years. His southern accent is worse than mine. Hard to believe. But he says, Dave, people can't afford to get no divorce because the filing fee in the 20 circuits in Florida is $500 plus your attorney. And even an inexpensive attorney in a divorce matter is usually about a $2,500 retainer per person. So we $5,000 plus $500 filing fee. And then when you go to mediation, and that lasts 4, 6, 8, 10 hours, you got to pay the attorneys plus that. And you're constantly renewing the retainer because very few people get it all done turnkey for $2,500. So divorce is really expensive. Why? You fall in love, and you go to the courthouse and you get a license. You could get married right there on the steps of the courthouse. Most of us go to a church. We buy a house. We have a child or 2 or 3, and then we go to get a divorce. One part of it is to protect the children. One part of it is to administer the division of assets and recording and the changing of the titles of the cars, the houses, or whatever that might result in the division of assets and liabilities in a divorce. Believe it or not, it's really rather simple. It could be really rather simply handled by an algorithm, but the emotions keep it from that way. Okay, so back to my lobbyist. If you only pay $500 on average for the divorce, that's all the court system gets, $500. You got a courtroom or building, light bulbs, air conditioning, facilities, landscaping, computer systems, staff of the court, IT staff of the court to run the computer systems, subcontractors that they subcontract to provide the systems, and then the judges and the magistrates. Do you think from the time you file for divorce and all the scheduling and all the discovery and all the motions, the state doesn't lose thousands and thousands of dollars? They do. $500. But as my lobbyist was pointing out, he's looking at it from the consumer. I think the research, and I apologize if the numbers aren't exactly right, that we were doing back in 2014, 13, that there was over 100,000 divorces in Florida a year, 20 jurisdictions. Unfortunately, that's the case. But imagine how much the court loses just on that. How much the court loses on a small claims court case. I think the filing fees are about $250 up to a certain threshold, about $500 up to another threshold. The courts are losing money, and we don't need. There was an article in the paper 5-7 years ago about they called it the courthouse, Taj Mahal courthouse up in Tallahassee, and how many millions with the marble and oak and cherry or whatever the wood was and TVs and all that. What do we need that for? We can prove we're buying stuff on the phone, we're returning stuff on the phone, and we can resolve disputes on the phone. We don't need to do it. So let me finish this, and I've given you the basic tenets of the purpose of a void court. Again, we are not against the court. We want to be favorably considered by the courts, and we want to look by the taxpayers and the citizens of all 50 states as a service to resolve simple disputes without needing to go to court, file a lawsuit, or retain an attorney. But as I said earlier in this video, we could add a button and attorneys could start to sell their services as advisory services. It's what consultants do. It's what accountants do. It's what other professionals, it's what doctors do. Okay? You don't have, right now, the economic model so the attorneys can make bills and pay for their children's education and pay their law school loans off is primarily retainers and contingency in cases like car accidents and other things where there's expected judgment. Okay? You get a free consultation. We represent you for free. If we don't recover, you don't get paid. In most cases, they take 30 or 40%. That drives up the cost of settlement. The model, the economic model of the legal industry needs to be disrupted. Sorry, attorneys. That's the way I feel. And I'm surely not the only one that feels that way. And we're here to start, and we're not the only one of our competitors that believe that and have the capability. Okay? But attorneys, y'all can serve your clients differently. A lady or a man getting a divorce might want to know how's child support determined based on the factors of their marriage. How's parental custody typically looked at by the judges? That's advisory services. Make your fee reasonable. Make it available. You can make yourself available by Zoom. You can make yourself available by phone or fax, or I don't know, fax is dead, email, and reduce your cost and serve more people. Move out of the high rises. Move out of the A and B class commercial space. Work from home. Okay? I'll conclude here, and there'll be a third video. I'll call it the third in the series, and there'll be many more. I need some coaching, guys, and I need probably a better, more articulate voice to deliver this. But let me end here. Uber and Lyft disrupted the transportation industry. Airbnb is renting more rooms. They don't own a building. They don't have a front desk staff. They don't have liability insurance for the property. They don't have security issues. They rent rooms. There's software to rent rooms. They've changed that industry. So they didn't ask Hilton or Hyatt or Marriott how to do it. Let me use the medical industry to make the final point. Let's say I went to med school. I got several great friends that did. They came out and a couple of them built family practices in communities. Their goal was to open an office, staff it, 1 or 2 doctors, get patients coming in, and people that get sick, they need a prescription, they need consultation. You have a primary care physician where you have to get referral on your insurance for specialists. They have annual physicals. That's how family medicine is delivered. And they built just like lawyers. They built a practice. They send their kids to school. They pay their mortgages. Most doctors are thought of at least as being upper income. They make a good living. But don't forget, they went to 4 years of undergraduate school and were studying, not partying. Then they went to 4 years of med school. Then they went to 4 years of residency or more, making less than people doing customer service often, okay? And working a lot of hours in that to get to it, okay? So they open these family practices. So first thing, CVS and Walgreens. CVS and all Walgreens open a minute clinic. Why would you call the office of your doctor to try to get an appointment that might not go 2 or 3 days, or if it's the weekend, you got to wait till Monday? You're going to the minute clinic. They're in the Walgreens and the CVS. You want an antibiotic in the majority of cases. You're right there in the drugstore. That takes revenue from the family doctor. Then came conglomerations of partnerships with insurance companies, health insurance providers, and hospital groups to try to control cost. Okay, so they went out and bought many of these family practices, and they call them here in Tampa Bay Baycare. No disrespect to Baycare, it's a phenomenally well-run organization. But again, the doctor gets acquired, his or her practice gets acquired, and they get a check. They usually get employed for a few years, but they're trying to take their clients and service them in a different way. Legal industry, you're not excluded from that. It's coming. Okay? Lastly, telemedicine. I was dating a young lady 2 years ago, and she's in rural Alabama. And she had an infection. It was a Friday morning, Friday evening. She couldn't get into her doctor. And she called the telemedicine. And I heard the accent, and I knew it was an Indian person. I'm not saying that person was in India. I'm sure it's a licensed American physician. Could have moved back to India. India's just a phenomenal country that we outsource a lot to, no disrespect intended, using it to make a point. But they had a video chat, just like you with your doctor, describe the symptoms. If you're okay with the privacy aspect of it, you could, if there's an injury or some kind of thing, you could show with the video. And she got a prescription within an hour. She never left home except to pick up the prescription. She got the prescription delivered. Okay? Folks, in the legal industry, you're going to change. AvoidCourt.com is just one of many. In courts, we can't keep building these courthouses. We don't need them. We've learned that in COVID. So I'm excited tonight to announce what we think is going to be a revolutionary, evolutionary, disruptive, but yet collaborative solution, and help consumers and help lawyers learn how to serve differently, and courts control cost and reduce footprint. Thank you for your consideration. Video 3, if this has been interesting, is to follow. Thank you.